Hey, welcome back. Have you ever woken up from a dream, that feeling still clinging to you, and for a moment you're convinced it was real? Now imagine that, but for an entire town. Imagine that the dream wasn't just in your head, but was shared simultaneously by hundreds of people. And it was a nightmare. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is the Unexplained Archive. Today, we're going to a small, remote village in Spain, to a place called Garabandal, and to a single, inexplicable night in the summer of 1965. This is the story of the town that dreamed together. Garabandal is nestled in the rugged peaks of the Cantabrian Mountains. In the 1960s, it was a secluded place, a cluster of stone houses, accessible only by a rough dirt track. Life was simple, hard, and deeply rooted in tradition. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and where the outside world feels very far away. It was here, between 1961 and 1965, that four young girls reported a series of visions of the Virgin Mary, known as apparitions of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. These events put Garabandal on the map for Catholic pilgrims, but they also drew skepticism and controversy. That's a story for another time, because the event I want to focus on happened after the visions had reportedly ceased. It's stranger, and in many ways, more challenging to explain. On the night of July 18, 1965, something shifted in Garabandal. It wasn't a vision to a select few. It was an experience that engulfed the entire community. Visitors and villagers alike, hundreds of people, went to bed as normal. But they did not sleep normally. They were plunged into a shared, horrific dream. Witnesses described it as a vision of a coming chastisement, a divine punishment for the world's sins. They spoke of seeing fire fall from the sky, of the earth shaking and splitting open, of a pervasive sense of overwhelming dread and sorrow. But the key detail, the one that chills me every time, is that they all saw the same thing. A farmer, a visiting doctor from Madrid, a local shopkeeper, children, elderly grandparents, they all woke up gasping, in a cold sweat, recounting nearly identical sequences of terror. Think about the logistics of that for a second. In a pre-internet, pre-mass media village, how does a detailed narrative propagate instantly? There was no time for a story to spread by word of mouth. People woke up and immediately began sharing their experiences with their families, only to find their neighbors were already at the door, pale and shaken, describing the same apocalyptic imagery. The consistency was staggering. It wasn't just a feeling of unease. It was specific, visual, and auditory. Many reported hearing a loud, warning voice within the dream. This wasn't a case of mass hysteria, where a panic spreads and symptoms manifest physically. This was a simultaneous, private event occurring in hundreds of separate minds, all synchronized to the same internal channel. As an engineer, my mind immediately goes to mechanisms, to cause and effect. Was it something in the water? A geological release of gas that can induce hallucinations? But gases like methane or carbon monoxide don't craft intricate, identical narratives. They cause confusion, headaches, nausea, not a synchronized cinematic experience. Could it have been a collective psychological breakdown, a shared stress response from the intense scrutiny the village was under? Possibly, but that theory feels too neat. It doesn't account for the visitors, the outsiders who were there that night. They had no long-term investment in the village's spiritual drama, yet they were pulled into the same dream. Their accounts are some of the most compelling, precisely because they had no shared cultural or emotional context with the local girls' earlier visions. This is where the mystery deepens beyond simple pathology. Some researchers into the paranormal point to the concept of a morphic field, or a collective unconscious event, the idea that under extreme circumstances, a community's consciousness can briefly synchronize, accessing a shared psychic space. It's a fascinating, if unproven, idea. Was Garabandal a psychic resonator, its isolated location and heightened emotional state acting like a lens, focusing some unknown energy? Or, from a more traditional spiritual perspective, was this a genuine prophetic warning, delivered not to visionaries in a trance, but directly into the sleeping minds of an entire population? Both explanations are, frankly, mind-bending. They force us to reconsider what consciousness is and where the boundaries of our individual minds truly lie. I grew up in Bangladesh, in a culture rich with stories of the unseen, of shared family dreams that are seen as omens. My grandfather would speak of them with absolute seriousness. So, part of me is open to the possibility that we are more connected than our modern, individualistic worldview allows. Sitting here in New York, surrounded by steel and glass and the relentless hum of individual ambition, the story of Garabandal feels like a whisper from a different reality. It suggests that under the right, or perhaps the wrong, conditions, humanity can become a single dreaming organism. And that thought is both beautiful and utterly terrifying. The aftermath in Garabandal was a mix of profound piety and deep unease. The event was seen by many believers as a divine confirmation of the earlier apparitions and a serious call to prayer. For others, it was a trauma they never fully discussed. The village, to this day, is a place of pilgrimage, but that night in 1965 stands apart. It wasn't a spectacle to be witnessed. It was an internal invasion experienced by all. There are no photographs of the collective nightmare, no physical evidence, just hundreds of consistent testimonies, etched in memory and recorded in earnest, trembling statements. So what do we do with a story like this? We can't prove it. We can't replicate it in a lab. We can only listen and wonder. The tale of Garabandal asks us a fundamental question. Is experience itself a form of evidence? When hundreds of independent minds report an identical, complex event occurring in the private theater of sleep, the sheer weight of that testimony becomes its own kind of artifact. It becomes part of the archive of human experience that defies easy categorization. For me, Ibnul J. Farabi, the lasting impact of this story isn't about proving a heavenly warning or a psychic phenomenon. It's about connection. In our deepest state of vulnerability, in sleep, the people of Garabandal were not alone. They were, for one night, literally in the same place. Their nightmare was a perverse testament to our invisible bonds. It suggests that the lines between you and me, between our thoughts and our dreams, might be far more porous than we ever imagined. And that, in the end, we may never truly dream alone. Thank you for listening to the Unexplained Archive. If this story lingered with you, if it followed you into your own thoughts today, please share it with someone. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and for more deep dives into life's enduring mysteries, visit our producers at Light Not Studios. https://www.lightnotstudios.com. Until next time, sleep well and dream carefully.